to get this up and running. As usual, the expectation and reality are two different things. But this session today, I don't think we'll need too long. What I typically do, so obviously how we got to now, we've done the interviews, we've worked out what are the kind of big ticket motivations that act upon all the different people, grouped them up and created these jobs and then debriefed them. And so maybe actually, why don't I share this thing so that it makes a bit of sense to you and any others. So where are we? So that's taken us to this jobs section. And I know you've kind of had a look through here. So I've mapped all out. Hopefully there's no major questions. The big missing piece here, I haven't yet added all of the quotes into it. I thought it would be better to move forward. But through I'll add those and you'll be able to use them. And then this kind of demand facets piece that I've put in here, I think you got it pretty much yesterday. But the idea is that what I try and take it from all of the different jobs. What were the points of demand? What was it that people really wanted? And then I want to rate that across the jobs. So for some people, it's very important to have a DIY course where, you know, I'm going to do it on my own time. Whereas for others, where are we? Direct instructor access is more important to them. So it's kind of when they see a course, what is it that draws them towards that? What is it that they need it to do for them?
Yeah, so kind of the idea here is whatever. I'm now making a landing page or a copy for a particular person. I open this up, I see, okay, I probably should talk more about this and less about this, right?
Okay. So you can use it that way, but basically on this one here, what I've done, so within the jobs view, number one, I've listed all of the facets of demand I think exist across all of these jobs.
Yeah.
And then you can see for this job here, opportunity to make visuals for a living, struggle with imposter syndrome, yada yada yada. I don't think DIY is relevant, so I've marked it as a 1, and then I've given a bit of commentary here. So they want more hands-on experience. And the flip side to that is when we go to the bottom, direct instructor access is a 5 here, but then it's a 1 there for these guys, whereas presumably that's a 4. So all I'm trying to do is across the jobs, trying to make sure that I've captured the main elements that people are interested in. So the product design comes from this and the service design that wraps around it. We're going to try. And so the next step, so I'll just drop that out. The next step is this, the compare section of it, which is new, what I've added in today. And so what I try to do with this when I'm doing it myself, most people would only target one job at once. So yes, you serve people in all 4 jobs, but you kind of pick the easiest one or the highest priority one for you, like take it down, and then you can move on to the other jobs if that makes sense. And so what I do is for each of them, I want to assess, here's the statement, desire to get more hands-on assistant, course teacher or whatever, and the importance is 1. For this or self-ranked, and then we go in and we just mark what's the gap between what you sell today and the desire in this job for this particular feature, and what's the effort to close it. And obviously in this one here, the gap is 0 because you know, they want to have an instructor led course, although having a DIY is long term or something like that. So all I'm trying to do here is capture this and say there's no gap at all. What you've got already meets their needs because they're not really interested in it. And then effort to create the gap, nothing, no change needed. I mean, you don't even need to do the rating for that really. And so as we go through this process together, you'll then start building up a heat map where we have a look and say, okay, and actually I might flip the color scheme here needs to turn. I could just realizing it. So when there's no gap and it's low effort, we want it to be green. I might actually, I'm going to just prompt that right now because otherwise I don't do it. But what we want to see here is for the green ones, ideally we want, green, green, green. This is nice and easy. Versus importance is low. Well, never mind. We're not too bothered about chasing that anyway, or we don't have to change anything on it. But if we see mixes of greens and reds, or greens and yellows, it's going to be harder than greens and greens. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Makes total sense.
Okay, cool. Sorry, let me just paste this in and get the color scheme changed around. Sorry. And the reason I do this is so when we're doing this normally, sorry, low gap. Yeah. Good. Cool. Sorry, I'll just fire that off. So yeah, what I normally end up doing when we're doing this, yours is the first time that I've come across it where we've got people in each and every job. So you're already serving them. But the objective of this is for us to go in and start to think about how do we better design your course, your copy, or the plan itself to best meet the needs of each of these 4 jobs. So step 1 is kind of working out which job do we want to go after.
Well, I can say that when I now kind of designed the landing page and looked at what we already have with the jobs and analysis, and I'm kind of like looking at everything and also looking at what my course currently is, without much changes.
Yep.
I kind of skipped the first job in general, and the reason for it is because I felt like currently my course feels like it's the least serving those people the least.
Okay.
And another reason was that like it was when I look at 1,000+ students have gone through the course.
Yep.
And when I look, people like Wes is more of an exception than a norm, at least from what I've witnessed.
Yep.
So it felt like I believe I can serve this market, but I feel it could be like almost like something completely different, something like a completely different landing page, maybe even like a different service, or it could be like some coaching package or something, I'm not sure.
That's where I think you're right. This one here lends well to the top tier premium price. But I think the reason to sort of step through it in this slightly more methodical way is that it forces us both to sit together and think, is this important? Yes or no? What's the gap? And then it allows you to say, well, because all of the effort analysis is on you now. So this piece here, I know it's called demand heat map, but it's really where we take this side here, which is what do customers actually want and how important is it? And then we map that against what have you got in the locker, or what could you add to make this work for them? And that allows you then to go through it and say, okay, like obviously what am I going to do next? And you might choose. So
no, this is like, honestly, this is amazing. This is amazing because like you can just, what feature I should build next? And this is like basically you go, you look what people want, what you have, what you should prioritize. So this is amazing, like in general.
Okay, cool. So if you want, well, rather than sort of second guessing, let's just go through the process and fill it in.
Okay.
And then once we've got that, hopefully Lovable on the back end will have recolor coded this so that it looks the way I wanted it to look. But what we're looking for in this, and I'm not sure if I showed you this, so it's all based on a process that I've used before. Where are we? Wait for this to load just to make sure I'm showing the right thing. In Miro, is it loading or is it doing more? Here. So basically, let me share this tab. So I don't know if you can see here, this is a Miro board where what I used to do is pull each job out into each frame. And then in these blue boxes here, the left-hand side is this kind of demand facet per job. Then there's a description in the first column that says, what is it in relation to this job? And then down here, like what's the gap and what's the effort? And the way that we did this when we were targeting these, I don't know which one of my research this is, doesn't really matter. But in this case here, you can see frame 3, so job 3 had 2 yellow boxes only, whereas this one has 2 reds. Frame 4's got a load of red. And so it's just like a really easy visual snapshot if you're trying to decide what's next. It's like, well, let's go for the low-hanging fruit first.
Yeah.
Or, if you were going saying, well, frame 4's where all the money is, but it's red. It's like, right, we'll roll our sleeves up. At least we know that what we're getting into. We're not, we're not doing it blind. And
yeah, no, this is amazing.
Cool. Right. Okay, so now I've talked for long enough to get Lovell to do the changes. Now we can see there is no gap here. That's wonderful. So yeah, we might as well just so I put it together into like a little quiz thing that we can go through together. And it's really I'll ask you the questions and sort of fill this in. So,
okay.
So this one here is about making the visuals for a living, the imposter syndrome, and the confidence. So we'll just step through those to begin with, and then the tools and technologies. What do you think in terms of how you teach tooling and use of tooling?
Well, it's an interesting question because in general, a lot of people when they join, they think they need to master these tools and whatnot, and oh my god, I'm bad with Figma, etc., etc. And I give basic Figma like trainings and stuff, but in general, I think what I do more is make people realize that it's actually not that important, and you can make concepts with pen and paper. You can open like whatever Procreate, and I really encourage people like, listen, you can go watch on YouTube 15-minute Procreate tutorial and just start freaking creating. And those people who do, they actually realize, holy crap, this is like awesome. Like, okay. So I'm not going super deep into tools because that is not the main like value proposition. If you want to like learn UX, UI design, if you want to be Figma master, don't come to my course. That's not my value proposition, So it's interesting. A lot of people value this, but when they join, they realize, oh, it's actually not that important, as Jan is saying, and he's giving me the basics to get stuff done. So it's a bit tricky.
And for all of these things, maybe it may not be clear. But when I've rated the demand facets, I'm attempting to rate it, imagining that I'm somebody playing the role of a potential student who's in this job. I'm rating the demand at the point where I pull my credit card out and pay. So what is it I'm hoping to see when I get across to the other side, not the experience which you're talking about there. So in this case, I think I don't think it's a massive gap because you do have some.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair to keep it in the middle because I would definitely say I'm not like.
Well, actually,
let's say if you really join with the intention, I want to learn the tools, you might be a little bit disappointed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that could be middle tier.
Yeah. Actually, I'm just realizing here. Maybe I'll skip back to this side. I need to update the quiz when I put it in because it's not showing the importance of this. So I think we'll have to step back out and back into the quiz on a periodic basis. But in this case here, this was really important to them. So then when we assess the gap here, so I might not know how to use the tools. I want to learn the latest things. Basically, like if I'm going to create a polished visual and sell it, I want to be sure that I'm learning how to use whatever the most modern tools or the best of the trade are.
No. Yeah, and it makes total sense to see that because I remember a conversation with both of them, and Wes was like, he had the visual thinking side kind of going. He was creating these concepts, but they were like not super pretty according to his standards. So he wanted like to level up. Yeah. So it makes sense what we are seeing there. And I would kind of say that then it's not serving Wes, I would say, really, really well, because it's like, okay, it's giving him it's definitely improving, but the one, yeah, it's hard. I need to see how Wes will do, because in general, the stuff I explain, it's like, it's very not overwhelming type of like, hey, listen, if you want to make pretty visuals, you know, you need to follow these few things, and if you nail those few things, you'll be like absolutely rock on good, you know, instead of overwhelming people, hey, let's learn all the Figma and all the bells and whistles and shit you don't need.
Yeah. So on this one, so I'm sort of listening in, but I'm also taking notes. We need this slider to change the color so that it goes red up here as well. But so I'll put this one as I'm not going to put it that it's absent, because you do have some tutorials on it. But
I definitely do, yeah.
But compared to somebody who's coming and joining the course so that they can learn the latest and greatest, by your own admission, that's not what your course is about, and you may choose that you never want it to be that. So
yeah.
what do we think's missing?
Well, I don't know. I would almost say it's like almost like a different product, because like I don't feel qualified to teach people, like be the like world-class Figma designer or whatever. I actually say that I don't feel like I'm a designer, you know. I'm all about these concepts, and I can help you get, if you find my style appealing and beautiful and stuff, I can help you definitely get there. Like that's where my kind of qualification, I would say, ends, you know.
If you think about what do you provide, so there's Figma templates. That doesn't really teach you how to use the tool, though, does it?
It's more about concepts, yeah.
And there's you showing yourself using Figma, but you're not in the sense of click this button to create a circle or whatever, right? It's not.
Well. Like I have like 1 hour plus tutorial, which is called Figma Basics. Okay. Where I basically teach the basics of Figma, the like most commonly used tools, you know, you will. So that's something I don't actually show on the landing page or whatever. So maybe I should talk a little bit more about it. But it is like a 1 hour tutorial, which will show you the Figma basics to basically learn all the tools and understand what they do in order to create like designs like I do, for example.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's say you will be fully equipped to replicate one of my visuals that you have seen on socials, and you want to understand how it's created on Figma, what buttons I have pushed, and what everything is done, and how it's all made.
Okay. So I think the basics is, it's not designed to turn into an expert, merely to show how this uses Figma to create design. And obviously, one of the other things here is we're only talking about Figma, whereas people
have some Procreate stuff as well, but yeah, like mostly focusing on Figma. Yes.
So I'll do that next. So the effort to close the gap again here. You don't want to make your course about this, and you don't feel qualified to teach it.
Well,
what if we curated some YouTube videos from that teach the concepts or whatever, and you just, after the beginner section, it's like, here, this is where you go next. And then it's not your content, but at least if I come in and I really want to learn this stuff, I've got a jumping off point where I can go and say, okay, this is, Mr. Super Duper Figma, where I get to use it with all bells and whistles. Could we do that?
Yeah, I would say that is like an easy, low effort thing I could do. Like another thing, which is a little bit more moderate, is I don't find it hard to, let's say, take Procreate, and show you the basics of Procreate. Because I feel to have a successful course, you need to give people these quick wins. And I think one of the things why my course have been like decently successful with even like doing how I do things without much research and stuff is because these concepts are not that hard to create. And when people create them, it's like, it's very satisfying for them and they're super pumped and they like just keep grinding and it's interesting. So I always try to push the focus of it's not that much about the tool. So I think it would be beneficial, and I probably would be happy to have an upgrade for my course where I have, let's say, 1 hour tutorial, nice basic tutorial on Figma, then on Procreate, and I don't know if anything else is needed. Probably not, which just gives you the essential tools. Because when I send people to YouTube, they will teach a lot of things which are not that needed, but when I focus on, hey, you want to create visuals like this, these are like 10 things you actually need to know in Procreate. The rest is like, yes, if you want to go super advanced, go check out these 3-hour tutorials on YouTube, go all in the ins and outs of Procreate, etc., etc. But in this 1 hour, I can give you like the meat you need to know in order to create visuals in Procreate. So moderate effort, and I would like to do that upgrade at some point.
Okay, so bear in mind when we're rating this one here, I would not be surprised if when we come to rate this for another job, then we might, basics might fully meet their needs if we can add that. In this case here, so curating the videos and creating a how to use Procreate 1 hour video, you happy with the effort? It's a moderate effort to.
Yeah. I think this is a very, very fair statement. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now we move up with this. So process to come up with ideas. Let's jump back out. We've rated that. Okay, so this is another one that's critical to the job. So it's really all about making sure that they understand the repeatable process that you use to both find ideas in the first place, get those ideas into draft, and turn that into a final finished format, so that they don't run out of ideas and they don't hit the skids. So what do you think in terms of delivering that to these people?
I would say it's definitely a 4. It's 4, close to 5, but let's be humble and keep it 4. There's definitely room for improvement. Probably if I would chat to those people and hear other struggles, I'm sure there are tweaks and tools I can give them to make it a little bit better. So I think 4 would be like fair statement. Yeah.
So you think there's a minor gap here?
Maybe. Well, like I would say it's not like I'm not sure it's a gap. It's more like it could be better, but I don't think there is really a gap.
Okay. Well,
you can put it at 4. Like between no gap and minor gap. I think it's fair.
Maybe I need to adjust this and allow a more nuanced experience. But I mean, all of this,
I don't know.
It's what you feel comfortable with. So if you had Wes turn up, join the course, and rate this, does he think he's learned the process to come up with visual ideas in a repeatable way, having taken your course? If so, there's no gap. If it could be better, maybe there's a minor gap.
I'll need to ask him. It's hard to.
Yeah. Well, from your supply side view, and why do you think there's a minor gap? Maybe because obviously I've got to type something in.
I'm more feeling that I'm always like, brain is turning. I'm always thinking about, there are some ideas. I'm thinking about I want to maybe do I want to generate these few AI prompts, which would help people with brainstorm could come up with more ideas. I know the ideas chapter, generating ideas chapter, like on the course is like quite vague, and quite simple. So maybe some people appreciate a little bit more depth in that. For some people it's fine. For some people ideas is not the problem. For some people, they want more help. So it's like, but in general, I don't feel there is a gap. But
okay, well, look, whatever this is, we'll mark it as a minor gap. Adding those AI prompts. So bear in mind that when you're thinking about solutions to this and the effort required, you're not constrained to making it about the product. You can also, given that you're offering these services, whether hour-long sessions or whatever it is with you, like you can close the gap by just setting up time with students who want to understand your thought process, or get them feeling what they need. So obviously you've described some stuff you could add to make the course more robust, but also, if we go back to the gap, is there an opportunity here for the more in-person pieces? Would you be able to teach them more about your process if they had an hour?
Yeah, well, of course, if they jump into the top tier pricing, 100%. Like, because then I work with people, I hear their exact struggles. It's just a tailored approach, and you address all of those issues there without failure, I would say. Yeah, that's very fair.
Okay. And then the effort to close the gap, obviously, we almost want an effort per per thing that we could do here. I think now I've moved away from my very simplistic Miro board, and now I think we could probably start ranking each individual idea. But in terms of closing this gap, creating the new course content, moderate effort, high effort, low effort.
Well, moderate effort, because I would probably, as I don't clearly know what to change, but I feel there is improvements, I would need to talk to people, get some replies, think about what to improve. So effort is definitely moderate to close this minor gap and make it like superb. It's definitely not something I would kind of go and attack as the first thing to change or modify, but I would just keep it as 4 instead of 5. So, in future I look at this and like, I think there is something we can do here. Let's figure out what it is.
Okay. So you want moderate or high effort for this?
I think high, because I do feel I'm not really sure what to do. Like making those tutorials are like whatever, you just hit record and do it. This would be more research and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. And then in terms of delivering this in the one-on-one sessions, I presume that is also higher effort for you than simply having a course where I go and self-serve, right?
Well, but it's high priced, so I feel like I'm much more than happy to join. But of course, it's not extremely leveraged pricing tier, but if people pay the price at this time in my life, I'm more than happy to have those sessions with them.
All right. Move on to the next one. Where are we now? So, I've done that one. Social media reach. So this wasn't massively important to these guys here, but this is an interesting one. In your course at the moment, obviously the focus is all about the creation of the visual ideas. The content better than I do. Is there anything in there that talks to helping people? In this case here, I don't think you're either no gap or minor gap for this particular job, but is there anything that helps people?
Well, with social media reach, there's few things. Of course, there are some office hours where I talk about the stuff, but again, being a social media expert, some growth master, I don't feel like I'm there. I just produce this work and it works, and algorithms change in some platforms and then they don't really work, and I'm not sure why, but in general people do appreciate this stuff. What I wanted to say, there are basically some office hours where we discuss some stuff about growth and whatever, but that's like it's a no big deal, and I'm not sure how many people would get there and digest all those office hours from the history. But one big thing which is related to social media growth is that I have my share and engage channel, and when I will move away from Circle, whatever, to a new platform, I will have a separate channel like LinkedIn, X, Substack, whatever, and people basically post their links to their visuals and people from community go engage, so it's a bit like this engagement pod or whatever. There are these LinkedIn groups, where people go and push each other to grow, etc. So that is a minor thing, I think, which can help with growth, though I need to, I think, get better at it so people are more engaged and kind of that thing is going more on fire. So there is work to do to make it like actually really valuable, because now it's like, people post there and then maybe like several people just go and like, but it's like it's not like, you know, I know some of those LinkedIn engagement pods are like somebody post and then like a lot of people go support it. It looks a bit like cringy and weird and stuff, but you know, I'm just trying to help people to, especially people without any social media reach, to, you know, to get those first wins and kind of get in the, so algorithm starts to pick them up. So it's something I'm working on. I think that's the main benefit I can kind of give for people who are interested in that growth.
All right.
And I would say, and I would say this might change, but at the moment, how I have structured my pricing tiers, there is the cheapest one has everything, a part of access to the feedback sessions and a part of the access to the share and engage channel. Because I had a thinking the mid tier would have it, and it has more of the like, hey, you are committed, you want to grow, blah blah blah, you know. So there's like a gap from the first plan to the second one.
I think that makes sense. So based on what you're saying here, given that this is a rated 2 importance for this job, I don't think there's any gap. They're not really trying to achieve this in the first place. You've got almost certainly good enough, and therefore there's not any gap here. And I'll just put NA.
Okay, cool.
Because there's no, you know, whilst we rate everything, obviously if it's unimportant, there's not much point in wasting time doing it. Okay, confidence in the teacher. Someone's got experience and credibility to teach. So gap here. Obviously, you do this for a living, so no gap.
Well, I would hope there is no gap, because I do this for a living. I have tons of credibility, I think, in this space. So I'm not sure how I would increase more my credibility in this.
Yeah, that's cool. That's I guess on this, obviously, I don't think there's any effort to close the gap, but it might be worth highlighting, you know, sometimes a bit of grandstanding of what you do. Maybe it's just the odd post here and there about the work that you're doing with others to remind people of it.
I will try to do that. My wife is pushing me a lot to talk about, hey, you have illustrated Jefferson Fishing book, talk about it. And I'm like usually the humble person who doesn't want to brag and talk about my accomplishments, but I'll try.
Look, I'm British. You have to deprecate yourself at every possible opportunity, and you know, it's like, hey, what's that? You won first place? Oh no, it was fine. Nobody else was trying. You know.
Yeah.
It was an accident. I didn't mean to do it. So, cool. Got that one nailed down. Right, let's get back out here. So, ease to learn, so the level of course content. Yeah, so in this case here, I don't think they were too bothered. They weren't looking for the basic course. They'd already had something. They just wanted, you know, they weren't overly bothered. So I'm not sure there's a massive gap here, because there's not.
Yeah, well, if they are rated, if they have rated this as 3, I feel there is no gap. If they would rate it as 5, I would probably say the same thing which I said about the process, you know, where I'm sure it can be better and I can tweak some stuff and make the lessons more digestible or whatever.
Yeah, but I think, you know, I think if we go through this and you think that that's true, you know, can I make it better? Yes, but is it a high priority to invest time in this? No, it's good enough. Yeah.
Man, the more we work, the more you share this, the more like, this is so sick. This is just so fucking awesome.
Yeah, I did. Like I said, I did this. So the rest of the app prior to this is all Bob's work and Ryan Singer's work. Like, they came up with the way of analyzing it, and I'm just
I understand, but it's
sick. That myself. This piece here is, once I had it, and especially with my business, that when I launched this growth consulting thing, I did the same research, and I'm like, okay, now I've got 5 jobs. So what? Like, how do I decide which one of these jobs I should go after, and like which is priority and stuff like that? And so I came up with this kind of thought process that I bunged into Miro, and now luckily Lovable has enabled me to make it a bit more structured rather than it being.
No, it's insane, and like, just it's insane piece of information you can give to like your clients and package it probably even more and like work with it. It's insane. It's so awesome.
Yeah, I hope so. So the gap here is there's not really any gap, but there is the live sessions to do anything. Again, given that those live sessions take effort, I guess it can't be easy or trivial, because you've got to, like in this, you've got to make sure that you're factoring that effort.
What do you mean, like live sessions?
Well, so on this one here, ease to learn. In this case here, course is good enough as is.
Yeah.
Or if they've got, if they struggle
No,
with
I would say like they can ask questions in the community in written. The course in general is all self-paced. The stuff that is live, all of it is more like a bonus. It's like, hey, there's still interesting things I've discovered. Whoever wants to join, let's jump on a Zoom, and I'll explain. And it's all bonus stuff.
Yeah. All right. So there's no gap on that then.
Yeah, basically, like in landing page or whatever, I never talk about usually the stuff that is in the like office hours. It's all cherry on the top, and I will sometimes use it just as a marketing hook in the newsletter. Hey, by the way, an event is coming up where we will discuss about book illustrations or whatever, So if you want, you can join the course, and we'll have that session in 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. And the way I see this working is obviously when we tailor this, yes, this can be used to drive the messaging, but it also might change the features that you talk about. So in this case here, if they're not too bothered by it, there's not a massive gap in any case.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, if you do need feedback, sign up to the session where we're going to sort of hold your hand type thing. Okay, so learning the process to create polished design. So this is all, and I think this goes beyond the how to use the tools. This is like design best practice almost, or design 101. Like you do talk about it in the course, like the visual weights and the colors and things like that. In this case here, given that they're going to go and put these out there, making sure that I can create a polished one gives me that confidence, so it's important to them.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think I would put the same as we did with the process, because it's like, yeah, from one end, it's not some sketchnoting course, where you just scribble stuff on like a whiteboard, and don't make any polished stuff. Though I don't know, maybe in sketchnoting they make polished stuff. I'm not sure, but. Yeah, I would say like I am confident that I give people the tools if they are willing to sit for like an hour and then take a week and then just like wrestle with Figma a little bit, so they can absolutely replicate my visuals, and of course tweak things to fit their own style. I give them like tools to kind of figure out what's your style as well and get to that point. And I assume that they see my work and they consider that as a polished visual. So I think we have closed the gap, but of course, some people might think about, oh, I want to create this like insanity, but I said, I don't feel like I'm super amazing designer. I'm all about the concepts, but I can help you get to this state. So again, it's like, I think it's good, but it's not perfect for sure.
So how about that? So some content teaches the basics. People try to put it in practice on Figma. They can develop their own style. Feedback sessions in the community and live event can help somebody polish the visual to the best standard.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the effort to close this gap, I guess it's effort for you doing the Figma and or the your Loom videos and or the live sessions. Moderate.
Moderate. I think moderate.
Okay. Do you want to explain that, or do we leave it just blank?
I think it's pretty clear for me, at least.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Alrighty. Where are we now? Okay, getting the confidence to publish my work in public. I want to publish the work. I'm not yet feeling confident enough, but the work's good enough. I want the course to give me that confidence. I want it to give me that pep in my step. And this is this is considered done when I take that first step and put my first visuals out there online. And the difference in this job versus these ones over here. So these guys, some of them talked about confidence as well, but almost all of them had already published something. So even though it was a bit crap, they were still putting it out there and trying. Whereas these guys here, were yet to publish anything prior to doing it because of the lack of confidence, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like there is no gap. I think I do a good job at it. Though I must say, when I read this, I feel like I could probably frame it better in some places and just pay attention. It would be like, yeah, okay, whatever. No, I'll not go there.
Well, put it this way. Let's imagine. So one of the things I like to do with this exercise is imagine forget what you serve right now and forget how much you charge or any of that stuff. We're looking purely at the demand in the market to have this. If you were to go and get to the point where somebody was as helped as they could possibly be to have this level of confidence, you cheerleading on the sides and posting it on their behalf or whatever, what is it that we need to do to get them to?
I am very confident. I think that we are doing it. Like it's a common theme that people, I was an aspiring creator, I struggled, and wow, now I like share these visuals. Thanks, Janis, you showed me that like it's fine to ship in perfect work, we can iterate later. It's all about the concept, not the like polished design. I keep grinding that message so people get it, and I see a lot of people have shipped when they previously have not shipped. So I do feel like very confident in this regard that I can like, again, I'm like super whatever humble or whatever, but I feel like yes, we probably can tweak some stuff to like make it even better, but I think we're really good at this.
I think the important here, the importance, my tongue's working today, like a mouthful of marbles, is if we understand that this is important to somebody, then I would look at it and say, well, if I'm teaching this, like I'll just go and maybe give a bit more TLC to the people here and say, hey, have you published your first visual yet? Do you want me to review it? Or especially if they were paying more for it, So yes, you can say, well, it doesn't matter. You can publish things. It's more about the idea than the execution. But if I was serving this group here, I'd want to, come and just give them a bit of a hug and tell them it's all going to be all right and stuff like that.
You're spot on. You're spot on, and that's the place where I feel I can definitely improve is like with the follow up, because now I'm more like, you joined, you have access to all of this stuff, but mate, it's on you, I will not like hold your hand like all the way. I've made the course short and stuff, and feedback sessions are there, but I think I can definitely drop some emails or some like follow up or something like. But it would be interesting. It would probably make sense to. I've never been a fan because I'm so obsessed with like respecting my audience's attention and whatever. But it feels like some sort of simple survey would be really nice when people join, so I know which buttons to push. Like because I'm quite clueless. Some people join, they never share anything or whatever, and like whatever. I sometimes like reach out to them and they say, oh, I just wanted to see your process and I learned this and this was awesome, and I don't really want to create visuals, so. It would be nice to survey people, I guess.
To be perfectly honest, you can lift and shift it. We've got the demand facets, they're defined. Somebody joins the course. Hey, please fill in these, whatever it is, 10 or 11 questions so that I can best meet your needs. How important is it? Literally just.
And especially now after this research, I can probably ask really good questions, which is like, chick, done, instead of like some stupid questions which are maybe irrelevant to know how I should serve them. But now we know which buttons to push and where the differences are between students.
And also capturing that insight after somebody's onboarded. If it's an onboarding quiz, I said before, when I did this first, I interviewed everybody who joined after we relaunched, just to try and make sure that they were joining for the reasons I thought they were. So you'll see there's a test tab and an act tab up here. So what we're going to do to get this later. But yeah, I think that adding that would be worthwhile. And actually, I'll just take a side note of that because we haven't got the spot in here, but reuse demand facets onboarding quiz, because that way you can know for sure what's important. And also, if we go through this and people rank these differently to the way that we've ranked them here, and you say, oh well, they're in that job, but actually they don't care about this, it just means that we've misinterpreted the research or whatever. But then you can drop that thing through time. If nobody cares about it, it doesn't matter. And also what you could do is have the same thing when somebody completes the quiz, go back through the same set of questions, but now you've done this, rate your confidence afterwards. So you can see the sort of before and after, and you can see like what's changed as a result of taking my course. And if it's not shifted enough, that tells you where you can invest your effort to improve the course and give them more of what they want. If that makes sense. What I want to do,
makes sense.
We could do a little bit. So do we want to put it as a minor gap?
Yeah. I think that's fair.
And then low effort to fix it.
Yeah, it's not a big effort, probably.
Just having a look. So a bit of TLC with students that need it, so long as you know who needs it and when they need it.
Well, it's probably a survey and a follow-up. So yeah, let's keep it low. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
There. Onboarding is then do more. Alrighty, getting through it here. Price sensitivity in this one here. Let's just drop down. So I'll definitely pull this across. So I don't think that they were overly price sensitive. So when again the numbers aren't there, I'd want to test this, and that's the reason why I put it as 2 rather than 1. I wonder whether you could get premium subscription revenue from this particular group. I felt that this is a particular group where you can go and make it about getting them ready to make their first dollar selling their own designs. So I don't think they're looking for the cheapest course. I don't know whether you agree or disagree with that. But in terms of this, I don't think there's any real gap. The pricing you've got, but you're about to change the pricing. So what do we think?
I don't know. Like my mind is here, like running in circles a little bit because, like the big amounts, the big amount of money I've got from people are mostly, I guess, people who are in different like industries. They already are like super established. They earn a lot of money and stuff like this. They are not like visual creators. That's where I'm like a little bit like, I feel the big bucks come from those people.
Yeah, don't forget though that when we went across here, if you look at the jobs, or even in the cluster, you've got 7 in this job 2 here, 2 in job 1, 2 in job 3, and 4 in job 4. So your existing marketing is probably selling more to these people. You've never had any messaging out there that I know of. You might think that you've kind of roped some people in who've seen what you've done on PJ Milani's courses. Like, well, I sell this stuff for a living, and then they think,
okay,
I could do it.
Let me tell you, like my reasoning, my assumption at the moment is that people like this in this group are very few, I guess, who come across my work, but that is my assumption.
Okay.
And I feel with the premium plan that I plan to sell, there's of course a bunch of people who are in those middle groups, who want to buy the cheap course or the middle course and get feedback and work with me and understand my process and make visuals in whatever coaching or this or that, or like applications are a ton of them. And my belief is that many of those people who join, some of them have big pockets, and for them to like spare 3K, 2K is not that big of a deal.
Yep.
And they would enjoy, awesome. Let me work with Giannis for a month. We'll jump on calls and I really understand this and I love the live experience. So I will be working with him, and that's great. So that's what I'm kind of targeting with the premium plan.
Okay.
I
don't think there's any problem with that. I have an idea. I'm sort of messaging you on WhatsApp how to test this premium plan and work out exactly how to target it at the right people. But we're not at the test yet, so we can do that. To the point of this one here, I'm just sort of looking at it. My view is that these people here, especially given what we've said about like gap versus the so obviously you've got the DIY tier. There's a massive gap, so it's not for them. So they're got to be in the middle tier for the gap ratings we've given so far to be accurate, and the top tier for the have a hug. Giannis is on your speed dial to make sure that you've got all of the thought process and stuff like that. So this group here, I still don't think they're overly bothered by price. And one of the reasons I say that is that when I do this stuff, when people are learning to do something that earns them money, they're more willing to spend than when they're learning to do something that saves them money, or versus something where they're learning to do something because they've got to do it because someone told them, compliance or whatever. So I don't think there's a massive gap. Nothing in this is telling me that you need to change your price to meet the needs of this group here.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, I think I got it where I stand with this. When we started, I said that I kind of excluded this group at the moment from my landing page. At least I didn't focus on them. I focused on the other groups because I feel this is a bit unique. This is about how to make money from visuals and stuff, and I feel it's almost like a little bit different product. Yep. And I want to have the premium pricing tier. My assumption is if I would write the premium pricing tier tailored to this group versus a group from the middle tiers, which just have slight differentiation of I would love to work with Giannis one-on-one and really get going and get 5 visuals where basically he creates it for me and we create together. I want that experience. Yep. I feel if the top tier pricing is either that or this, I have a feeling that will sell better. But of course, if I will run this test for a month and it will be crickets for the top tier pricing, it's either the price is too high, nobody cares, everybody gets value from the mid tier, and either I should remove it completely or change it to this. That's where I'm at right now.
Okay. So no problem. I think what we should do is to try and rate this here. The way I'm thinking about it is I may as well explain it. So in terms of, it will pop up here eventually. Sorry, excuse me. But there's a way of testing. So if we wanted to test every single combination of price, features, the job we're targeting, how much is it DIY versus you basically doing it for them. Whatever, so there's a sort of set of criteria that we've got that we'd be looking at. Let me see if I can get that pen to stay on there so I can draw. There. So you've got kind of along here, and it could be just price point, and then DIY, and then whatever, feature. And so what we do is we can set this up, and we'll decide whether we. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, whatever. We'll set this up where we pick high and low values for each. So rather than testing, everything from $999 to $99,000 or whatever, we'll go, okay, what's a low setting for price for the premium tier? And let's say it's, I don't know, $2,000 or whatever. And then a high setting is going to be 9K or whatever. I'm making this up, but we'll think it through. These become 2 variables in a test, and this is yes and this is no. And then we do the same. So the settings for each of these different rows. And I've thought the test up already, but you end up with probably about 5 or 6 different settings, and then we choose together what's high and what's low for this particular set of variables, and then it's called a Taguchi orthogonal array. I don't want to bore you with the details, but basically the good news is somebody has already worked out how to how do I clear this? Somebody's already worked out how to do these tests. So basically, what you end up with is this big matrix, and rather than testing like rather than testing every single option, you end up with like high, low, high, high, low. What's going on there?
But what are those high, low? Those are features, or like?
Yeah, we work out those features, but so it could be, so price is one of them, and then it would be, you know, do it yourself, or maybe it's asynchronous feedback from you versus getting on a call, you know, and you're on their speed dial. It's I'm going to work with you for a month versus I'm going to work with you for 3 months. It's you know, what I'll get you 5 visuals polished and out versus 50, or, you know, whatever so we just work out what the settings are, and then the way that the test run, like literally we'll just plug it through, and we end up with a test run that gives us test 1, 2, 3, etc. to 8, and then we send, and this is yes, no, yes, yes, and this is no, yes, what, right? Literally there's an algorithm that just tells us which features to put into which offer, and then we hit your list with we segment them, and we send out 8 different emails offering 8 different things, and we see what feedback we get. And then what you can do with this is predict which combination of these sort of 5 features down the side should create the most revenue for you and the most demand.
But what you will send to the list, let's say we split the list in 8 parts. One part gets this. They get what link to the landing page? Just buy my course, or like a survey, or what they get?
Well, we could either do a landing page, or we could just do a sales email. But yeah, what you would do, you'd probably do a quick landing page, throw something very basic up with a description of what they're signing up for, and then you'd have 8 emails and just have numbers 1 through 8. And then when you click on the link and you come through and your link was number 3, you see whatever feature set is offered for feature 3, and you decide, do I want to buy this, yes or no? And then maybe we take like a refundable deposit or something, just to show make sure that they are actually committed. But based on it's not about which of the 8 performs the best. With the data coming back from all 8, you can create this kind of prediction that says, okay, the sweet spot should be here. And so, you know, maybe it's not 2,000 or 9,000, but we think it's 7,000 for this. And it's, you know, it's not 1 month or 3 months, it's 6 weeks, or, you know, something like that.
Yeah, I guess what I would say here, I wouldn't do this for the premium plan yet. I guess I would like to try out with best of my assumption, best from this research, just try something.
Yep.
And see, because as I said, like, honestly, I don't want to sell more than 2 a month of those things.
Yeah,
you know, fine. I don't want to squeeze out the juice. But what you just explained, I think would really make sense to test out with like lower tiers, because like I am curious to try ads to the warm audience which are familiar with my work. And I would love to find, you know, maybe there is just like, I put in $5 and I got out $50, you know, maybe some ultra self-paced course completely separate from this stuff, you know, that and it would be interesting to run those, so I could just, because it would be awesome, you know, then I can just funnel more ads, you know, and then probably get more signups, and it's just
okay.
There, I would probably do such tests first, but I think it's a great idea and very interesting approach.
It's not an either or. We can put both in there, and you can run it twice. It's just a case of, you know, which one do you want to run and when. So Okay, cool. But I've given you a bad explanation of what that is in any case, but hopefully it's
no. I understood. I think it does make sense. It's quite a lot of work. I would say, like
it is a lot of work, but where you have a list, you have the reach to be able to run a pretty good test on this. And with that high price one, I know you only want to sell 2 a month, but why don't we want to sell 2 a month at the very highest price point we can squeeze and know exactly which features we're including and not including? Because you might find out that actually asynchronous stuff like people want an asynchronous teacher more than they want a live one. And that might mean that then you can suddenly do 5 a month, because doing it asynchronously is easier than doing, scheduling time and having to be up at midnight. But obviously, I have no idea what we'll find, because that's the whole point of running the test. But by running the test, what should
no, you make a lot of sense. This is probably the difference, between somebody making like 10-15K a month versus, maybe 60-70K a month, because they just find a way that has more leverage and they can sell it at the higher price ticket, So I'm definitely open to it. Definitely not now, because it does sound like a lot of work. It wouldn't be my first dragon to slay, but I'm open to this.
I think what's most important for me right now, sorry, excuse me, so X's, is to get this thing set up and have a full picture of the demand. What the app will then recommend.
But this feels also, is this something that we need to do together, or something that I can do personally and then you can review it?
Yeah, what I would suggest is now you'll have access to the route. You shouldn't have access to being able to run the assessments, because I think you're a view-only user. But by all means, go in and tell me what you see, because I've only just set it up, so it needs to be there. But yeah, what we could do is set aside time for us to go through this together. But if you took the time to begin with to just think each one through, and then obviously a lot of the value for me is being able to have this kind of conversation and say, okay, what's right, what's wrong, what ideas does this generate in our heads that might do this? Do you want me to stop sharing? Let's see. I don't know what you can see in your view.
You want me to share my screen?
Yeah, why not? Well, if you're in the app, so on the compare tab.
Allow to share screen. Do you see the screen?
I can't see anything yet. No.
Share entire screen. Okay.
Share.
Now it's a big screen, right?
Yep. Okay. So if you go and navigate to the compare tab. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So it's not rated yet. That's this is what you should be seeing. So you see the ratings, but not the unrated ones. Don't know how far. What have we got down in the bottom?
But I do see everything that you see, right? I just can't edit.
Yeah, that's right. So I just want to double check that. So 1, 2, 3. What we could do, if you want, is complete the first column. So we've gone through each of these and talked it through, and then, but I don't know, over the weekend or early next week, whatever you want to do, you take the time to think these through yourself and sort of have your own idea of a rating, and then the next time we speak, just go through it together.
Yeah, I think we could do it. We could do it next week. I will have a look and think about them.
Do you want to just finish these ones off while we're on the line? Because I'm not in a great hurry to jump off.
Up to you. If you want, I can stay. If you need to go, then
let's finish one column, and then you've got a whole reference column to come back. So in this one here, with your new pricing, I don't think that they're price sensitive, particularly price sensitive. Maybe a minor gap. You need to better understand.
I think it's more about understanding. I'm not sure if we know enough.
Yeah. And tests. That would be moderate gap. Then, like, how confident are we in the assessment here. I'll move it up to moderate, I think, because
Well,
I
there was
don't.
a lot of talking and confusion, at least from my side.
Okay, cool. So we still haven't closed that off. So we would need to run a series test, and I'll put a high effort on that, because if we use that test method that I'm talking about, it requires a whole landing page. It requires us to think. Like the process isn't that hard, but the execution is time consuming, and and you've got to building a landing page isn't the easiest thing, even with these tools.
Yeah.
The right price.
Well, I should check out how hard it is to run like A/B test.
Yeah, this isn't an A/B test. So basically, A/B tests, you test one thing at once. The idea of an orthogonal array is that actually there's, like, if there's 5 variables and like 2 settings, there's 2 to the 5 or 5 to the 2 different combinations that you could come up with.
I understood it's more, yeah.
You take sort of snapshots around this massive cube of possible options, just test a few of them, and then try and work out within that box, where the best settings should be.
Yep.
But I'll put that as a high effort, because I do think, like, if we're going to go and test that properly.
I agree.
Where are we at? Course duration, commitment. Yeah. So in this case, it's got to fit around their schedule, but that what that means is different to different people. But they're not. It doesn't. So over here, these guys and these guys, I think they wanted a course where you weren't trying to do it to get to the end of the course, and if you started taking it and you realize, oh, I can't do this, you're not overly bothered if you haven't completed it. Whereas I think this one definitely wants to complete the whole course, and these ones here are probably quite keen to do this as well. I don't think there's any.
So it's like, so course duration, commitment, it's low importance, meaning they are quite flexible of whatever is given. A lot of modules, or
they want to get this done. So in this one here, it was very low importance to have something that was low commitment, but they were happy to commit. They would go and invest time, and we could probably flip this around and have a bit like with the direct instructor access versus DIY. We could probably paint this picture in a different, like, for what is it that they do want. But in this case, they weren't put off by the duration of the course.
Okay, but then what would be those 2 5s? It means it's like they are not fully committed to doing this, and it's a hobby.
Correct. So I'm going to do it, but actually I'm taking my first steps in this. So I don't necessarily want to join like a 6-week long turn up every day, get a certificate type course, because
understood.
Like,
Okay.
Like I'm not ready to commit that amount of my time to it. Whereas over here, I do want to commit time to it. So I think in terms of, I don't think there's any real gap here.
Yeah, there's no gap. I think there's no gap. Yeah.
Although we would need to test iteration. And then effort on this, I'll put a low effort. If we focus. Sort that out. Right, so look, and then the last one, direct instructor access. So I've added that. This, I think, was. So again, I'm trying to build my confidence in my skill. I'm trying to make sure that I've got the ability to engage and ask questions. And again, the problem.
Well, Yeah, if they pick the top tier pricing, then it's absolutely zero. I would say with the mid tier, they get access to me as well and the feedback and questions. And in the lowest tier, they still can like ask questions in the community. So I would say it's like no gap, you know, as long as you pick the right plan.
And that's that. So that's the interesting part about this for me, that we're saying, okay, if somebody this job picks the wrong plan, then there's a gap. So therefore, we've got to make it abundantly clear to them, you should be buying this because you're getting direct instructor access. You're going to get this feedback. You know, I'll work with you to give you the confidence to execute. Feedback in the
Quick question when you finish
Yep.
this. When I create my pricing plans, like I have whatever the plan name, curious, committed, exclusive, whatever, and under them I have a short kind of description, and in that description, what I did is I tried to capture like the job, the essence of the job, kind of give a short job description, kind of. Do you feel there is more value to do that, or there is more value to say things like this, you know, for the mid-tier, get direct feedback with this plan, you get direct feedback from Giannis and blah, 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 you know, or like where would you go? Like explain the job or be very clear about the features you're kind of getting there.
This is how we've done it, and I'm not saying this is gold standard or anything, but this is the way I've solved the problem before. So this is kind of context, and then the outcome that you're going to get down here. I'll just drop to the bottom. So down at the price point here, here's the 3 tiers that we've got, and is this the right choice for me? So it's a little bit about what you're going to get, but it's a lot about who is this for, so that you can self-identify and say, yes, I want that.
And if self-study,
so independent learners, rush, yada yada yada. So invested time. So what are the trade-offs that they're making to join this course? Because they've got to think the trade-offs for them. So they do the thinking and slap it in their face, and obviously design it around the jobs that we think people are in. So that, like in yours, ideal for someone taking the first steps, dipping their toes into the water of visual design, who want to see if it's for them and learn a new skill or whatever it is. For us is over here. You know, you need to do this for a living. You need to make sure you've got the confidence to put your work out there in public, and you want to work with someone who's done this before to do, you know, to help you get to my level, pay up and look big type thing.
What I like it. What I really like, which maybe I should do as well, is like I have 3 plans side by side, like the usual SaaS products. But I really like what you have done here. You have these 3 things, and it's like you click it, and then you have more space to explain yourself. And one thing which I want to ask you a question about is, like, I know this is like a common marketing thing. I don't know. Does it work? Does it doesn't work? I guess the research shows that it works, and this is a good way to display your most premium tier as the main one, and which like anchors the price, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's
but I don't want them to miss the cheap price, you know.
Because people don't. Earlier on in the week, so I've got a team that actually maintains this one because it's not built by me, and all of this was for some reason whited out so you couldn't see it. And I've got people suddenly communicating with me going, "Oh, that seems an expensive course." I'm like, "What are you on about? There's 3 choices." So I can't see them. So when it's set like this, people can see it and they can see this little carrot thing and have an idea. But yeah, I did it for exactly that reason. I used like a WordPress pricing grid before, and I just couldn't get it to look like how I wanted it to look.
But you agree with statement that this is not a bad idea, because you can drive attention to anchor the price to the most expensive plan, like the super premium stuff.
Yeah, why not? You know, because what happens? So this is something Bob taught me, and I've looked at it in the research since then. But he says people don't choose. So nobody comes here and says, I'm going to go straight for self-study plus click buy. it's just not a flow people do. What they do is they come and they're like, okay, like what's the price? It's like, oh way, well, that's too much for me. Oh, okay, well hang on, there's some other options here. Maybe I should go down here. And yes, you've anchored the price high, but if I'm put off by this is good news because it means I'm probably put off by this too, and maybe that's going to help me make the decision to buy this one. Versus if I see this and I'm like, okay, well, the guarantee and it, is it right for me? Got this experience, I need to do it. What do I want to do this? It's the only one that's going to help you actually do this. And then I'm like, is this one going to be good enough? Like, I can't afford that, but maybe it's worth saving up to buy this. And it's very, very different from the self-study course because it's designed to be.
Well, I'm thinking because I think I will adapt this pricing kind of structure. I think it's awesome. Yep. Because I was looking at mine and I thought, but this is overwhelming. There's so much kind of going on, and this makes it a bit more like pleasing for eyes. But I want to understand because your product seems to be, it's not more like, I have course and explain ideas visually, course and community. It is like the main offer, but you guarantee the success. So what I'm thinking is I'm a little bit afraid to put my top tier pricing as the first one because it's like kind of, it's explain ideas visually, course and community, and whoa, now this big price.
Yep. Okay.
Should I put the mid tier as the one default one?
Yeah.
But then I'm not anchoring the price really. It's still there, but like.
You could visually anchor it. You could have the middle one selected and just have this one over here, like, make the price bigger or like whatever, just so that it catches somebody's eye and they realize it's like, wow, actually, I'm getting all this value here versus buying this top tier one. So
how does this look on mobile view if you scroll it to make it small?
1 second.
Or what was the homepage? I will just go there. We'll see.
It'll look pretty ugly on mobile, I think. But, I can't see it myself. Where are you? Yeah, it just drops into like.
Okay, I'll figure this out because I wanna make sure it looks good there as well because like 25% of the mobile views.
If I was doing this with Lovable these days, if you clicked on that, like it would just promote it to this piece here anyway, I think. But there's definitely a nicer way of designing this. I'm just using some.
No. Cool.
Elementor template. So that's how I've tried to solve it myself. It works. A lot of this is tested to death in terms of do people understand it and can they buy it and do the right people go through. Interestingly, when I changed the framing on this one here,
the middle one,
right? No, on the whole thing. Where's it gone? So there's a bunch of and your FAQ, all of this. I said before, build it out of actual questions people ask. So if you've got a library of sort of questions anybody sent to you, it makes sense. What we used to have is different pricing, and often we'd get the people who needed the most help, which was these self-study ones, would come and join. Like they join a tier that was like cheap, but gave them more than they wanted. So a bit like in your course, you've got people who find out that there's value in the community, but they didn't sign up for it in the first place. And what we found once we moved to this model here, rather than another one, is actually the guarantees that we sold were sort of better for us. So beforehand, the average gap between the guarantee grade that we were offering and the quality of somebody as they came into an onboarding quiz was like 20 or 30 points. And now, since I changed the framing, the gap's down to about 5 or 6. So the people who pay the most usually need the least help, which is just really weird, counterintuitive thing that you suddenly discover as you test stuff out.
I think it's something similar to that the most expensive, whatever, people who pay the most have the least problems. There's a lot of memes about that. I think it rings true. They're more committed and.
Cool. All right. So sorry, let me share this one. I think we're back here. Yes. Okay, you can see that. So it's good enough. So there's no effort, and there's no sorry, effort. You know. Cool. All right, and that moves us on. Good. So that quiz works, and it starts on this one here. So yeah, now you've gone through this. Just take a bit of time to go and think through your answers for each of the rest of these. Maybe jot them down, whatever you want, and then we can have another session together where we map this in, because I think there's some value in me kind of challenging whatever your rating is and making sure that we talk it through. And then from there, it will promote a job up to the top here that we go after. And obviously, you can override that and choose the one that you want. But hopefully, it gives us clearer path forward, which will lead to like one of the tasks we're going to do, which are usually related to. There's a gap here and some effort. If this is the job that we suddenly choose, that becomes a task that we're going to tackle next, and then we'll decide how and who and what and all that other good stuff.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure. And like I said, what's really good here is I sat and thrashed this process out. So it's like one of these things, I tend to kind of come up with this stuff. And I was up in Bangkok earlier on in the year with my business partner, and we were doing this for the other business I've got. I'm really lucky I've got him, because he's really good at taking whatever I'm doing and turning it into a process. And now I'm getting the opportunity to actually pack it into this app, which then makes it even easier, because I don't have to sort of tell anybody about it. It's just click the button.
No, it's amazing. It's like it's very magical how it starts with hands-on interviews with real people, and then instead of taking the data and shoving it to AI and saying that spit out marketing copy, there is a lot of automation and a lot of process to get to this end, but it makes sense. Like all of what we have discussed, it makes sense, and it's very logical. It's not some voodoo stuff. So yeah, very impressed.
Cool. Well, massive pleasure. Just let me know. Have a think. Like, take your time on this, whatever you want. I'll keep packing out the features on the back end of it. But then if you want to set up time for us to walk through it next week and finish it off, a similar sort of hour and a half or whatever, and then we can get to it. So okay, what is the plan of action that we're going to make? What are these tests? Which order are we going to do it in? So that you can then start sort of kicking this stuff off and getting.
Yeah. Let's start and test, because I will launch it definitely this week. And we'll have some data and we'll see what will go on. But I doubt I will do like the massive newsletter push to all my list, So maybe we'll do some stuff until that, and then I can approach my first newsletters in a bit more structured way, from the insights that we will pull out.
That sounds good. So up to you. If you want to chat, then just let me know when works for you next week, and we can look at it.
Yeah, I'll chat you. Let's.
No worries.
I'll talk to wife. Okay.
All right.
Take care.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.